We thank you. I hope your heart is filled with gratitude. I hope you're giving God praises today. Remember to be mindful. Remember to be cognizant of His presence and all the things that He's doing every single second. It's really amazing. The breath that you're breathing, it's all Him. That is Chicago Mess Choir with Tell God Thank You. And I guess that's what we're doing right now, right? So take this moment with me. Lord, thank you for all that you are, and thank you for all that you're doing. All right, it's about that time. It's the second hour of the show, and this is Tuesdays with Tondi right here on Impact 103. And I am so excited right now because I have a lovely guest on the show today, and we're about to get into the interview. Are you ready for this? Let's go. All right, my guest is a singer-songwriter, and she has released a beautiful album. It's really incredible being able to listen to someone's journey and life experience through the songs that they have composed or written. And you can feel the heart behind those songs. And my guest has done just that with her project. And, you know, I'm really encouraged just from listening to the songs and hearing the authenticity of the music. The album is titled Between Mourning and Dancing. You know, the Bible says there's a time for everything, a time to cry, a time to dance, a time to rejoice, all these things. And I feel like the title encapsulates that. And I'm so excited to dive into this interview. Please help me welcome the lady herself, Constanza Herrero.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to Impact 103, Constanza. You know,
thank you so much for having me.
It's such a pleasure. But like, this is how I want to do it. I want to greet you in, I believe it's your language. Hola, ¿cómo está? Is that right?
Yes, sí.
Sí.
Gracias.
Oh man, muchas gracias. It's really amazing. I mean, you're all the way in Scotland right now, and
yeah.
And we get to connect. I'm so excited about this. But before I get ahead of myself and we start speaking about the project, I mean, you've been on an incredible journey in your life. You've lived in 4 continents, and Scotland right now, that's your 4th one. I mean, it's just mind-blowing for me how you have managed to live in all 4 continents in your lifetime. So that's really wild. But I want to ask you, what did you learn, or what have you learned from all these different places that you've lived in? And how has that influenced your music?
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, I am honestly so grateful for the experience that God has given me to live in different places.
Yeah.
Of course, when it comes to move, it's not easy. When God says there's going to be change in your life, it's not fun. It's like, well, we really see in those moments how much we get so attached to the things that we can see, our routine, things that bring us comfort. So it's never easy to start all over again. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I've learned is that God is always going to provide for you. There's always going to be, He's faithful. He's always going to be. And I've seen His faithfulness in every single change of my life. Not just physically, but just, everything that changed when you move countries. So it's been honestly so beautiful to see His hand always providing, and how He's always ready. He's always ready to provide you, and everything's prepared for you on the other side, whether you can see it or not. And it's been amazing how much I've learned from different cultures. Also, being able to always finding really beautiful churches in every place that I've been, and how beautiful it is that the family of God, it's like every time I've been to and serve in this church, it's just so beautiful to see that even though we may have different accents, may have different languages, we worship God and worship the Lord Jesus. And that is so precious that only Christians can experience that we can find family wherever we go. It's just amazing. And of course, it has influenced my music. And yeah, and you can hear those different sounds in my album that it's definitely influenced by where I've been. So yeah, and I'm now in Scotland in only 2 months here.
Wow.
And it wasn't easy to move from the United States with my husband, and it wasn't easy, but now we are already part of a beautiful church, and we have new friends here, and it's just so beautiful to see the hand of God in everything. Yeah, for sure.
You spoke about provision and just how God is, taking care of you guys, like with every move. What's one miraculous story of provision or testimony of God's provision that you've experienced from this whole experience of you moving from place to place? Just one. I know there might be a lot.
But I think, I don't know, I see sometimes miracles as just the fact that we're here and we have everything we prayed for, the community of believers, and just see that, and so clearly seeing that it's so easy how God provides it. It hasn't been hard. Like when we found the church, for example, here, it was just so easy, and you can see that God was already preparing this way for me and for my husband. I can't pinpoint like one particular thing, but I think the miracle of God just continued to strengthen me through seasons that I never knew I was able to do it. So just giving me the strength and giving me the grace when I needed him.
Sure.
And you can't really do anything from him, but I think that miracle of him showing his faithfulness when I doubted and I fear, that he probably wouldn't give it to me. So even when I am acting in disbelief, he is so kind and gracious that he shows me that his grace in that he's always there when I choose to fear or be anxious about things. So yeah.
Let me take you.
Yeah.
I love it. I really love it. You're here to tell your story, and I'm here for it. I want to take you all the way back. You were part of a band or a group called Six Pack. You guys recorded 2 albums. I mean, tell me a little bit about that story. I know it's probably in your past somewhere, but how did that come about?
That happened in my early teen years back in my home country, Chile, and that experience is something that I'm so grateful about. It was a very popular teen band back in my country, but it was also very famous internationally throughout Latin America because we were having a TV show on the side that was broadcasted by Nickelodeon Latin America. So
it's called Kaku.
I got the chance to also Kaku, I got the chance to start there, and it was such an amazing experience to also explore acting. I really loved it. I think it was such a school for me, knowing everything that happens behind the scenes and the massive work that goes into producing series and touring with them, going to really big festivals, and while I was at school, so I would have my normal life. My mom wouldn't allow me to have other ways of education that you can get, like homeschooling and things like that. It's like, no, you're going to school, and during the weekends or during holidays, you work on this. So it was pretty intense, but I look back and honestly, sometimes I can't believe this little girl did that. It's like, wow.
It's amazing. Now, your new album, Between Mourning and Dancing. What a beautiful title. But in the first song, a step-by-step intro, you say, I'm unloading all the weight that's been bringing me down. Step by step, slowly, don't try to make me run. I mean, tell me about that, especially that first lyric there that I read out now. I'm unloading all the weight that's been bringing me down. What are you referring to? Is this a personal tale that you're telling, or is it maybe reference to the word? What's the story?
Yeah, step by step. It's a song about just setting your mind and continue walking in faith, even though you still have so much healing yet to do. And sort of like telling others, this is gonna take a while. Like, let me walk through this path of healing. I still don't have it figured out, but it's gonna take a while. Let me take one step at a time. I feel like I was the season of my life that I felt the pressure of being okay really quickly. And I had to learn first myself that things just take time, and to also let the people around me who love me to be patient with me, sure. You know? And yeah, and to be on my shoes as well.
It's
that
great.
Healing
takes time. It's great encouragement, simply because so many times we find that it's hard to give ourselves grace. And it's sometimes easier to give other people grace, and it's easy to, for us to do that. But when it comes to ourselves, we aren't as patient. We pressure ourselves too much. But I love the fact that you wrote it in a song. And we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back to speak more on the album. I can't wait to hear the story behind the title as well, between mourning and dancing. But I want to play New Self, because you introduce your new self and you speak about the newness of life. And I can correlate that with it's 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 17. You know, if anyone be in Christ, he's a new creation. And I feel like this is a perfect way to segue into the next phase of this interview. So here's a song, A New Self by Constanza Herrero. Celebrating newness of life, and that's the life that we find in Christ. Perfectly written. It's called New Self. It's by Constanza Herrero. She's my guest today, and what an honor. With so many things to her name. I mean, in 2015, Constanza was invited to sing for His Royal Highness Charles, Prince of Wales, to celebrate his 67th birthday. And that's really incredible. I mean, what an honor, right? She also sang at the Premier's Olympic dinner for the Western Australian Olympic team going to Rio in 2016. Come on now. It's really amazing. And she also won the John Lennon songwriting contest in an international songwriting contest founded by his late wife, Yoko Ono, in 1997. It's really amazing. I mean, how do you feel about all these things that you've been a part of?
It's honestly, when you say those things, I should be more grateful. I don't know about you, but I feel like all human beings try to always focus on the things that we haven't yet done. And when you mention those things, actually, I should be more grateful. There's opportunities that have been given me, and it's horrible, right? Like sometimes I'm just focusing my mindset on things that I want to accomplish and the things that I don't yet have. But honestly, I'm grateful for all those opportunities that I would never expect it to happen.
People would cry for that. People would, live their lives wanting to get those opportunities, and you got all of them. Now, between mourning and dancing, what inspired the title?
The title was inspired on really realizing that though there is a time to mourn and a time to dance, you can learn to be at both places at once. You can grieve, you can fear, but with hope. And with that peace that only God can give you in the midst of any circumstance. And sort of all these songs came from those places of going through really hard seasons, but at the same time holding on to hope. So yeah. So it's in the in-between and being at both places at once.
Sure.
Yeah. I really wanted to, share that message of hope in the midst of chaos, in the midst of darkness. You can learn how to find that joy, that contentment through it all. And yeah.
And you mentioned how it was informed by some of those rough patches and those seasons in your life that were hard. And if you're comfortable, would you perhaps share or give insight into one of those seasons, what it looked like, what it was that maybe made you feel that way or experience life in that way during that season?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm fine to share. So specifically in this album, there are like three things that I'm based on. One is fear, struggling with anxiety and fear a lot, which I think it's like you never stop struggling with it, but you learn how to hold on to God's promises to overcome those attacks and those lies in your head, but there was a season that I felt very weak and I couldn't, it felt like I could never pass over that. It felt like, I felt very discouraged because it felt like too big.
Wait,
so that's
what felt big for you during that time?
Fear and this just feeling of anxiety was quite big. I couldn't, it sort of paralyzes me in doing things, and I couldn't find, it was really hard to find joy in the midst of it, and trusting that God could help me during those times.
Sure.
So, but the Lord was faithful through it all. And I guess every human being fears. Every day we have some level of anxiety in a different capacity, but I think the Lord uses that, and I've seen His goodness in the way that He created me. Maybe I'm a person that feels very strongly everything. Like I'm very sensitive. Like I get very sensitive by things that happened, the Lord has used my weakness to show me His strength, and accept it. It's a beautiful thing. I used to feel like almost cursed because everything affected me emotionally so much, and I couldn't cope with this. And I was like, why, God, you created me so weak? And I've learned to see that God doesn't make mistakes, and the way He created me was perfectly for Him to use me and be an instrument, and for His glory to be revealed. And so that was one. I also touched I read a few songs about heartbreak which I honestly I needed, not just as a therapeutic thing for myself, for my emotions, but to really release songs that I wish I could have had when I went through heartbreak, songs that would acknowledge the pain and how difficult it is, but also songs that would not point you to bitterness or revenge or things that are everywhere nowadays. And I wanted to write something like songs that will come will come from a place of forgiveness and letting go. So it's hard. But
I love,
and grief is another example. Losing my dad at a young age, in learning how to grieve with hope, because I'm still grieving him in a different way right now, but because you're still sad. I'm still sad that he's not here, but learning how to trust the Lord with his plans, that they're good and perfect. And yeah. Sure. So those are some of my personal experiences that I share in the album through my song.
Firstly, I'm sorry for your loss. I know it's been quite a long time since you lost your father, but I can just imagine just the feelings of still missing him and what life would have looked like had he still been around. And I just want to thank you as well for opening up and sharing with me just the different themes. And I think it's so real. And as Christians and as artists, we aren't immune to heartbreak. We aren't immune to loss and grief. These are things that we experience. And I love that you touch on these themes in your music, but also with a glimmer of light, with hope at the end, to say, heartbreak is not the end. There's hope in the story. So I love that you do that. And I don't know if that's why you say you aim to address themes that are not usually addressed in Christian music. Are those the themes that you were referring to?
I think so. I think I'm not the only one. That there are amazing artists out there trying to bring to light just things that we experience as believers, as human beings. But the difference is that we can do it with the hope of the Lord. And so, I grew up honestly lacking music that would relate to myself. I mean, secular music was offering all these relatable things, but there was not like an option in the Christian genre that I would go to instead of the secular artist that writes all these songs that I feel, wow, I relate so much with these people, and it's great. It's great, but I feel like, wow, I'm pretty sure like we all go through these things, and it will be so encouraging to see other believers writing about things and having that option in the Christian genre. We obviously we have worship and we have lots of devotional songs that they still need to exist and we still need to write. But it's very encouraging to see artists writing also about suffering and pain and things that we go through, and it makes you also not feel too lonely, and seeing that being a Christian is not being exempt of suffering. It's just that suffering looks different. It's just, I want to be part of that. I want to be part of that, conversation we're not alone. We're in this together. So, yeah.
I'm glad that you're already part of it by virtue of having released the kind of music that you needed and that we can relate to. And I'm so grateful for this conversation. Between Mourning and Dancing is out now on every streaming platform. You can go stream all the songs. We've got songs like I Didn't Care, Crossing Words, Square One, The Best For Us, New Self, Grey Hair, Not Okay, You Won't Bring Me Down, Esther's Acqui, Lament Song. And you can hear from the titles the kind of music that you can expect to hear. So please go out and stream Constanza Herrero's new album, Between Mourning and Dancing. But Constanza, before I let you go, I've got an insert here. It's called Top 5, and I have 5 questions that you know nothing of. They are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. All you gotta do is pick a number out of the 5, and I'll reveal the question behind the number. And this is just to get to know you a little bit more outside of the music. All right. Are you ready for that?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Please pick a number. What's your number?
3.
Number 3. All right. Now, what are you most proud of in your time on Earth so far?
and it's gonna sound like, but I'm proud. It's a hard question for me because it's like I don't want to sound like
vain or anything. No.
I think I'm really proud of the ministry that I've been able to do through music and in also through churches. Being trying not to compromise my values, and proud of making a career that, even though it's been hard to do, I'm proud of how steadfast. I know it comes from the Lord, this, but how steadfast have remained on my beliefs and shutting doors that could make me go quicker, could make me more famous or things like that, but really not compromising those things, not compromising what I believe that's right, and being where I am and be content. Even though I don't have maybe all the things that I dreamed about by this time, I'm proud that I've been able to release music just in being true to what I believe. Yeah.
I love that. You mentioned how you're proud of being steadfast, and earlier on you're telling me what your name means, Constanza, being steadfast, and I'm just like, exactly. No wonder. It's been such a blessing and a pleasure chatting to you. But where can we find you? Where can we catch up with the music, with what you're doing, and all of those?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, when you search me on any music platforms by Constanza Herrero, you can find all my music there. But I'm also very active on social media. If you have Instagram or Facebook or so on, just by Constanza Herrero, you can find me there. I post often news and what I'm doing and devotional context too. So yeah,
that's so beautiful.
You can find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Constanza. It's been a blessing, and I wish you all the best moving forward.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Only a pleasure. This is You Won't Bring Me Down, and it's by Constanza Herrero.